What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. Going to have a big show today talking about the Titans defense after I think the collective city and Titans fan base beyond has spent the last, 36 to 40 hours talking about Will Levis and how that went wrong. But lost in the Will Levis disaster versus the Bears. Do the Titans have an elite defense? We're going to talk about that. Hear from Brian Callahan in his press conference throughout today's show, his presser from Monday as he gets a chance to watch the tape, dive into the film, give us any different reaction that he had about that game against the Bears after getting to go through all of that. We'll also hear from him about Tandre Sweat. And then I think we'll touch on something later in the show, Easton, that I think you and I both are on the same page on about Brian Callahan's personality and what we are going to be getting as Titans media and the fan base too. Before that, we'll also hear from Jeffrey Simmons about his reaction from his defense in the first game of the season. And then also it is a Tuesday, which means we throw shade on Tuesdays to end the show. Curtis C says, that ain't Sam. No, it's not. That's Easton Freeze, who's the newest member. You've officially have 1 week under your belt with A to Z Sports.
That's right. I know everything about this place. I basically run
everything, which I'm guessing you know exactly verbatim what you're supposed to say now with the sharing the show spiel, or I'm just going to ask you to wing it and just see what happens. But the sharing the show spiel is what you do now. And so let's just see how you do. Just tell me.
I don't know what the spiel is, but I do know that the folks that are listening with us live need to help us out with some sharing on all of the social media. If you see us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, retweet that, like that. On Facebook, make sure you're liking, make sure you're hitting all the buttons. On YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the A to Z Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking that video for us. We need everybody that is watching live on YouTube to hit that like button. Take your frustration with the Titans out on the like button today. We appreciate you guys doing that for us.
Oh, that's perfect. That is literally all you had to do, and you nailed it your first time doing it. But let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is the new Easton Freeze at A to Z Sports, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans and get a better quote for better coverage for your health coverage. And use our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT. Be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. So, Easton, you were at the press conference yesterday for Brian Callahan as Sam was flying back in from Chicago. And if you missed it, go check out our YouTube and our Facebook page because Sam and I did a Titans conversation on a boat yesterday, which was really fun. And we'll talk about what that boat is and how you can take that boat to and from Titans games later on in the week. But Easton, kind of give me a breakdown, an overview of how you felt about that Monday press conference because of all the things that we were all reacting to post-game throughout Sunday, what you were writing about Sunday evening and Monday morning, and then just the general conversation and what Brian Callahan's message seemed to be in that Monday press conference.
Yeah, Brian was really candid in his presser. I felt like he gave voice to many of the frustrations that Titans fans were experiencing in the aftermath of this game. We're going to talk, like you said, a little bit later in the show about just how, in my opinion, positively Brian Callahan handles himself and the way that he has really been all summer. But we were waiting to see, okay, what would it be like when something went wrong? Mm-hmm. And I asked him that verbatim during the summer, and he said, we'll see. And then we saw yesterday, and I felt like the way that he handles himself, one, very, very different from what we became accustomed to under Mike Vrabel. And two, I think it's the right way to go about handling things like this, ugly losses like this. I think that players in particular appreciate the way that he conducts himself. And I know that those of us in the media and the fan base appreciate his candor because he was as frustrated as many Titans fans were, especially with the offense. He did not pull punches in terms of talking about, hey, there's a handful of guys on this team that are pivotal to our success. They've got to get better in a hurry. We can't have that kind of performance out of them. So he gave praise on the defensive side of the ball, which we're going to talk about a lot today. He didn't pull any punches there in saying these guys were awesome. We appreciate their effort, and the offense kind of let them down.
Yeah, without a doubt. The offense did let them down. So let's hear from Brian Callahan, the first clip we pulled from yesterday's Monday press conference, really just about the overall situation and what he saw as he watched the film and woke up Monday morning.
After watching the tape, I don't feel really any differently than I did yesterday after the game. I thought our defense had a really, really nice performance. I think Tandre Sweat really showed up for us, both in the run and the pass game, which was really nice to see. I thought we got great pressure all day long. Forced Caleb to do what we were hoping to do, is keep him in the pocket as best we could, and then when he went to go extend plays, to get him on the ground. And I thought, for the most part, we did a really good job there. So the rushing coverage worked together well, and defensively they put a winning performance. Obviously, our errors on special teams, we give up a big kickoff return, and we give a punt block for a touchdown. Both were the punt block was certainly just a one-on-one loss. There wasn't anything schematically issue, but that was an issue with that. It's more technique and execution. And then the long kickoff return, we didn't get off any blocks to get tackled, and they hit a seam on it. So the new kickoff is a work in progress. We're finding out new things every week, and they got a good returner back there as well, and he made the most of it.
So there's the two big mistakes that were not Will Levis related were also personnel related. Jack Gibbons, the one that got beat one-on-one on the pump block, and then several guys could not get off their blocks on the big kick return. But I think the winning performance, it was obvious to see, and to just do the math on the game, the Titans defense absolutely did enough to win that game, and there's no doubt about that. It was just squandered away. And Jeffrey Simmons said this in the locker room post-game. Sam asked him a question about literally, not how it went, but the defense, though. Jeff, what'd you think? And here was Jeff and Sam.
Not the way you wanted it to end, but you feel good about some of the defensive effort and give you guys something to build off of moving forward.
I feel great. It's frustrating to lose, but I'm motivated. The way we played on defense is what we expected. We came in this game with a lot of confidence, especially up front, and pretty much the whole defense. Our message was, make him earn his stripes, and we did. They scored a total of 11 points, got 3 field goals. When they got down there, that's our job, make them kick field goals. I think communication just got to be better on the two-point conversion, but we played lights out on defense. We did a hell of a job. Something we could build off of. Not worried about our offense either. So you guys ask, they're going to clean their stuff up, and even special team. Like we talked about, it's just the small things. And one thing about it, like I told the team, it don't stop week one. We're going to keep building. We're going to stay together no matter what, and we're going to learn off this.
So there's Jeffrey Simmons there, and adding in I'm not worried about the offense or the special teams either, that they believe in this entire team. All 3 phases, they believe in this. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Unwavering faith. I
for damn sure believe the Titans defense is going to continue to be very good. So Easton, what'd you think about what Jeff said there?
Yeah, very positive, very rosy stance following a really difficult loss. I can understand where he's coming from though, because he's a smart guy. He realizes that this team has a lot of growing to do together, and so while I'm sure he didn't go into the game expecting to lose, I do think he's entering this season with some patience built in where, it's going to be bumpy and we got to figure it out. We got to keep our head down and nose to the grindstone. We'll figure this out. And I think he should be pleased with the way that the defense performed. They were really, really solid. They allowed, what did we decide on Sunday? Really 5 earned points by the Chicago Bears offense in that game, 2 of which were a 2-point conversion.
Now, here, listen to this, because Jeff said 11. Jeff is saying that he counts his defense giving up those other 2 field goals.
Okay.
But that was
That's
special
leadership
teams
right
in
there.
Will
Fair
Levis,
enough.
right? Hey, but I say 5. Jeff says 11. So we'll split the difference and make it 8, just to make everybody feel better.
The point was the defense did enough to win that game. And that's what we're going to talk about today, just how promising that opening performance was, and maybe trying to parse how much of it was the Titans defense being fantastic out of the gate, how much of it was the Chicago Bears offense not being, in my opinion, nearly as good as folks think that they are right now. That's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the title of the show, Lost in the Will Levis Disaster versus the Bears. The Titans could have an elite defense this season. So that's a could, right? That doesn't mean that they do have or will have. It's not a prediction, but it's definitely a could have an elite defense this season. So, Easton, let's ask this question. The first question we have for the audience today: how would you label the Titans' defensive potential this season after watching the Bears game? We've got 4 options for you guys. I'll put up a poll on YouTube here shortly, but how would you label the Titans' defensive potential this season after the game against the Bears? The 4 options are good, great, elite, or Super Bowl.
Hello.
Good, great, elite, or Super Bowl. All right, we'll get to the comments here in a second, but first, I want to tell all of you guys about our brand new partner as of September. That is T-Dot. Easton, did you know? You should know because you've heard me say this a couple times now. There are over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee's roadways right now. It's a massive problem. Yeah, so much litter. It's a massive problem, but we can all be a part of that solution. And T-Dot spends $23 million plus every year cleaning up that litter, but they can't do it alone. So you can help by making simple changes like stop littering, pick up litter when you do see it on the side, and join local cleanups like A to Z Sports is going to be doing this fall. Every action counts, and Tennessee needs all of us to step up, be part of the solution today, and help keep Tennessee beautiful. And you can do it by visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com to get involved and see how you can make a difference. Visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
Austin, we're also brought to you by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. They are ready for football season. Sign up today using our promo code A to Z Sports and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you'll always be able to get in on the action with the BetMGM app right in the palm of your hand. There's nothing better than a Titans win, and there's nothing like the thrill of winning at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and so much more. Download the BetMGM app today and sign up using code A to Z Sports. Experience football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Easton. So I'll send you to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We need people to like the show. Hit that like button if you've got it. Hit the like button on Facebook and on YouTube. So the question we asked in Easton, I'm curious to see what the people are saying in the chat. How would you label the Titans' defensive potential this season after the Bears game? Good, great, elite, or Super Bowl? What's everybody saying there?
Well, Caps is saying if we're saying potential, he thinks that they are elite. Caleb says elite, maybe even top 5. Tighten up, going with a more conservative great. He thinks that's the safe answer. Eric says elite. Number 1 defense as of right now. Joe chiming in with great. Tandre Sweat was legit. Agree with you there, Joe. Mostly elite and great I'm seeing in the chat so far. Pistol says Super Bowl. Duh. Dre says elite defense equals Super Bowl defense, which is a fair argument. Austin, my answer will be a great minus. I don't want to be the total hater and say good, but I lean towards the lower end of the spectrum, and it's what I said on Sunday, which I will be happy to be proven wrong about this. But listen, if we are making determinations about units off of week 1, then I am here to tell you that the New Orleans Saints have an elite offense. They don't, but it sure looked like it on Sunday. Derek Carr is not the world beater that he was made to look like in week 1. Do I think that it was that level of smoke and mirrors for the Titans against the Bears? No, I don't. And I think you saw some genuine, substantive, positive things from the Titans defense. But I really do. And I came into the game kind of thinking this Titans team had a chance because the Bears are in a similarly new and disjointed situation to what the Titans are experiencing, especially with a rookie quarterback. It takes time, and they've got a lot of new moving pieces on offense. 2/3 of their highly touted wide receiver core new to that team. All 3 of those receivers new to their quarterback. That kind of stuff. That offensive line, the interior in particular, we saw the Titans defensive front get plenty of penetration. That's a group that's still working things out. I don't think the Chicago offense is very good right now. I think they have the potential to be quite good in a month or two. And because of that, I am tamping down expectations for the Titans defense. They did everything that you want them to do. I'm not taking anything away from them. If they are proven to be an elite defense, then this week 1 performance will have been the first data point in that set. And because they looked elite. I just am questioning once they face a stronger offense. I think even this week, you're going to get a step up with Aaron Rodgers, who is a pretty good quarterback, and some weapons on that Jets offense, which are, scarier in my opinion than what the Bears had to offer. Maybe that'll be the test that sends me over the edge.
Okay. And I think 147 total yards of offense will be the least amount of yards the Titans defense will give up all season.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Well, hang on. They play Malik Willis in week 3. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, good point.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's probably the least.
Oh, man.
If it's Malik, it could be ugly. It could be ugly.
Because they know everything about Malik.
And they also know that he's not very good. Yeah. So
and they know why and how he's not very good.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Maybe
Let's cross that bridge when we get there. You might have stepped in it.
147 yards. That's going to be like a pregame show conversation we're going to have. Over or under 146 and a half yards is what we're going to go with. Maybe that's in a couple weeks. But look, the Jets were only able to put up 19 points on the road at San Francisco. Is San Francisco.
It's a pretty good team.
Yeah, pretty damn good defense with good weapons with Aaron Rodgers and what the Jets have done to rebuild its offensive line there too. So you say great, but minus, right? That's kind of what your answer was.
A skeptical great.
A skeptical great, which in our spot here, in our poll, and I put this up here on YouTube, at least I tried to. I guess the poll didn't go, which is very annoying because I have to type everything out again. But so the options from how would you label the Titans' defensive potential this season, with good being the worst? Which I think, do you think it's fair, before I go any further, do you think it's fair for a good label being the lowest option here? Do you think that's a fair spot from our question?
It's a little bit assumptive because you couldn't be bad on defense. I think here's the thing. I think it's fair that good is our lowest tier because our assumption as of today is that this defense and the players that are on the starting defense are they're never going to get hurt. But we know with this Titans team, the depth is a serious problem. And it's this way on both sides of the ball. If you start to have your starters go down and you have to go to the backups, you could get sub good in a hurry. But we're not going to wish that upon the Titans. And of course, they're going to stay healthy. So don't worry about it. Yeah,
but also it wasn't Jeffrey Simmons and Tandre Sweat. They got the pressure on Caleb Williams the first time. It was Keandre Coburn and Sebastian Joseph Day. Now, Joseph Day is a starter, but Keandre Coburn is a depth inside defensive lineman. So you did see a little bit of that. So I do think it's fair on our question. I mean, we came up with the question, and with Sam involved too, that good is the lowest aspect. I don't think they're going to be average. I think they're going to be good, which I don't know where that ranks. Is that top half of the league? It depends.
I'd say top 15 defense.
It depends on the rest of the league too. Like there could be, right now you talked about the Saints having the number 1 offense, right? Well, there's a lot of bad offenses, which means there's a lot of good defense.
Mostly bad offenses. Yeah,
for sure. So you say on the lower end of great is your answer. So I do have the YouTube poll out there. It did work 5 minutes ago, like I wanted it to. So right now, elite is having a slight edge over great. Elite, 42% of the votes. Great with 37% of the votes. Good with 17. And Super Bowl with just 4. I think that's a fair split of these 4 labels for the Titans defense to this point. I am not ready to say elite yet. I'm going to say great, but I'm not going to add a minus to it like you are. I'm not going to couch my opinion and try to sit on the fence between good to great like Mike Vrabel.
You know what? Say it with your chest. Go for it, buddy.
So it is a great defense, potentially. I think this will be a great
Don't couch it. Don't couch it.
No, well, that potentially is in the question. So that's
okay, fine. Then mine's potentially as well.
So they do have potentially a great defense here. I think the main reason why I am not going with elite is because I don't believe in the edge rusher opposite Harold Landry. Whether that's Arden Key, Jalen Harrell, or whoever, Caleb Murphy, who one of those turning points in the game on Sunday was Caleb Williams escaping pressure on a 3rd and 10, which led to that one field goal drive that they put together when that could have been the Titans off the field, and Caleb Murphy couldn't quite get to Caleb Williams. So I think that's the hole in the defense. Yes. I think if everybody else stays healthy, I love the cornerbacks. I thought both Snead and Cheeto and Roger McCreary played a hell of a game. I like Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who came in strong a couple of times.
Yep.
Amani Hooker played a sneaky badass game.
It's been his whole career, kind of, hasn't it? It's like,
yeah.
Oh man, I'll go back and watch. Amani looked good today. Yeah.
Yes. Flying around, making plays, physical at the catch point, making hard-nosed tackles as well. And so I really think, and on that same Caleb Williams scramble, to Arden Key's credit, he got the crap held out of him. And he was trying to escape and got basically his jersey swiped across his chest with a hold. So I do feel like this defense is on its way of being a great defense. They are missing another pass rusher on the edge for it to be elite. Kenneth Murray and Ernest Jones IV, I think, will eventually be your starting inside linebacker duos that will be able to help supplement some of that lack of consistent edge rush opposite of Harold, but I'm not quite ready to do that. So I do think this is a flat out great defense by the end of the year, which I think is top 10, right around top 10, like between 8 to 12, I think is where they should end up when it comes to top defenses in the league, which I think I would call
I think the potential is even higher. I mean, I think again, it's going to take, it will take them having an unbelievable health season, which that's just luck mostly. And with some older pieces on this defense, there's reason to be skeptical that all 11 of these guys are going to play the majority of the season. But if they do, maybe this is a reflection in, I have a lot of faith in Darnell Wilson. The players have a lot of faith in Darnell Wilson. I've been looking for months now for red flags on the Darnell Wilson experience. Haven't found one yet. So I believe that he can whip this grip. I mean, the last 2 years, he's been a part of the #1 passing defense in the league with 2 different teams. He's got the caliber of players on the perimeter to be. I mean, there were a couple times that Caleb Williams was back there moving around. The pocket was collapsing. The front was getting after him. They were doing their job. But a big part of the reason why he had to throw it away or take the sack or scramble out of bounds was because there was some coverage sacking going on down the field. You turn into the all-22, and there's really, I mean, Caleb, there's some NFL open guys that he's kind of missing, that he's got to get used to NFL open. But for the most part, dudes are just blanketed. And that's a credit to the Titan secondary against a good receiving group, really talented separators. So I think that if they stay healthy, this could be a top 5, fifth, sixth in the league defense statistically at the end of the year. So
Gene says, Easton, it's the Titans always have injury concerns. Well,
yes.
The only thing coming out of Sunday was a little sore ribs from Dylan Radins, and
gonna play.
Brian Callahan said, yeah, he might be a little limited throughout the week, but should be ready to go on Sunday against the Jets. And somebody did ask, how do we feel? PBFT.J on YouTube says, how do we feel about next week after Monday Night Football? LOL. We'll talk about that later in the week. It's just Tuesday. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and beyond, and a pregame show to talk about the Jets game.
Okay, but we know that Aaron Rodgers will be playing for the Jets in Nashville. That was we weren't sure. He made it through the game alive. So
Achilles intact is absolutely true. So I did we have a super chat that I think is maybe you can know the answer to this, because I honestly do not. Nasser asked this: do those points, like as in all 24, affect the defensive stat / ranking, or do they look more at the pass rush and yards allowed? So I don't like as far as a scoring defense goes, they don't get dinged for the pick 6, do they? Or what? How does that work when it comes to rankings? What are your thoughts?
It depends on what stat you're looking at. The most pedestrian, zero context stat you'll find on like NFL.com about scoring defense is just straight up points for, points allowed. And so, yeah, the pick six, the blocked punt, those points will be dinging them in the points allowed category. And so when you hear some folks talk about top scoring defense, they're just going straight points for, points allowed. If you're looking into different, like if you're looking on PFF or maybe even on Pro Football Reference, they'll have defensive points allowed segregated from special teams points allowed. And then if you look into like Nas1R is saying, the passing and rushing yards, that's really the way to dig into the context of what did this defense allow in terms of ball movement as opposed to just straight up points. Because you look at, for example, the Jets defense last year, which was the number one defense in the league, there were a number of times they got scored on a lot because they lost a lot of games. There were a number of times their offense set them up in negative territory, like the Titans offense did to the Titans defense. And, they end up allowing a 3-and-out, 8 yards gained, but it's still a field goal. And so the points were allowed. But when you go and you look at the end of the year at the ball movement, it's like, wow, they didn't let teams move on the field. So that won't be affected.
Yeah, it's like, because for me, like, I also don't like to look at total yards allowed because I'm like, at some point, like, who cares if they move the ball, from
Did they score
their own 15 to the 30 and then get sacked and have to punt? Like, who cares about the 60 yards they gained before they punted the ball or kicked a field goal? It is did they score and how did it happen? So that's a really good point there from Nasser on that. So another thing I wanted to ask too about, just to get deeper into our own assessment of this defensive potential, because I said great, you said great minus. So I said between 8 to 12 ranked is where I'm at. If they are elite,
right,
where do they have to be ranked, or what top blank number defense in the league?
What's the bar?
Consider 8, because I think Super Bowl 2. Like, I'm going to give 2 teams in the NFL, whether those 2 teams make the Super Bowl or don't. I'm going to give 2 defenses are the only defenses I'm going to allow to be called Super Bowl defenses.
Right.
And
yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I am pro not watering down terms like elite,
Same.
Generational quarterback, like all that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
everything's the GOAT. Yeah.
Right. It's the greatest thing ever. So I will say that I think the bar for elite is like 1/8 of the league can actually have an elite defense, which would mean 4, right? I think there are 2 Super Bowl caliber, maybe even 1. I don't think there have to be 2 Super Bowl caliber defenses. 5 total elite.
5 elite.
Yeah.
Which includes the 2 Super Bowl ones. We're not talking about 2 Super Bowl plus 5. We're talking about 5.
Right, 5 total. And I would even be, this gets into the weeds, but if I were to write an article on this, I would maybe even say it's not like an AP test in high school where you're graded based on how others did and not just how well you did. Like, it's on a curve. Yeah. I think that some years there just aren't any, like, there may be like 1 or 2 truly elite defenses. And then some years, like the past 2 years, this year seems to be trending in the direction of a defensive revival. Maybe there are some more really, really strong defenses. And this year there are like 6 or 7 elite defenses when you look at the stats in comparison to the rest of time in the NFL.
It's like quarterback draft classes. They're not all the same.
Right. Like Malik Willis's draft class. Let's go back and let's do a study on that. Who was the best guy in there? Because it was the shiniest turd.
Yeah. Well, except for Brock Purdy.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Sorry. Top of the draft class. class.
Brock Purdy, not a turd.
No.
Yes. So, okay. So I think if they are if they're a top 10 defense and they're like 6 through 10, that's great. Is that considered great?
Yeah, great defense.
Great defense. If they're like 11th or 12th, do you still consider that great? I think I do. I think I'm going to cut it off I think I'm going to cut off the great label at 12.
Okay. Yeah, for me it's less about what percentage of the league and more about are you winning games because of your defense? If so, I think you're great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm going to give 12 to allow for some nuance to create flexibility. So then I think then, you're good if you're maybe a top 15, 16 defense. You're, considered a good defense.
You can't be.
What do you think about this defense? Oh, they're good. They're good defense. Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good defense, right? Like you're just walking on the street saying, hey, they're pretty good.
Mhm.
So, all right, let's talk about one of those players that looked very good in his debut in the NFL. And let's hear about what Brian Callahan had to say about Tandre Sweat. But first, I want to tell you guys about our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans. If you are a Tennessean and you want to not pay as much money as you are for your health coverage and actually get better coverage for it, then go to Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ. When Zach Bingham joined Farm Bureau Health Plans over 3 years ago, he saved 20% each month on his rate, and he got better coverage, a lower deductible, didn't have to pay out of pocket to go to the dentist 2 times a year. He got his contacts covered with his vision coverage too. So you can do that for your family. If you got a growing family, Easton, I know you guys have a growing family as of late July. Training camp baby right there. And or maybe you're empty nested. Maybe your kids are out of the house and you and your spouse need that next level of coverage. They've got everything for you right there at Farm Bureau Health Plans. And get a quote today using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
We're also brought to you today, of course, by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. They are ready for football season. Sign up today using code A2Z Sports and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you'll always be able to get in on the action with the BetMGM app right in the palm of your hand. There's nothing better than a Titans win, and there's nothing like the thrill of winning at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, so much more. Download the BetMGM app today. Sign up using code A2Z Sports and experience the football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Easton. So we'll talk about Tandre Sweat here in a second. Another super chat. King VC comes in and says, lock in, like the show. Amnesia, we'll get to your super chat as well as Kick It to the King Productions here as well, because I think what you guys brought up in a super chat will hit another conversation we're going to have here in a second. But Tandre Sweat, the assessment of his head coach, Brian Callahan, on his NFL debut from Monday's press conference.
Yeah, it was really pretty impressive. I think Sweat has sort of been on a consistent arrow up. He's been rising, I think, ever since he's gotten here. And every week that went by in training camp, he got more comfortable. He got better. His weight went down. He's getting more in shape. He's learning how to play. And that was really, really good to see. I mean, he was a force. And we have two forces inside, I think, that make life really hard. And I thought we rushed on the edge as well, too. I think Harold did a really nice job. I think Arden, and then the guys that rotated behind him filled in those spots admirably as well. So, and it was a game where when you have a quarterback like Caleb and you're trying to cage rush him and keep him in the pocket, there's a lot of unselfish rushing that has to go on because you're all sort of doing a job together to try to contain a quarterback in the pocket. It's not about winning your one-on-one all the time. It's about keeping the quarterback contained. And I thought all of them as a defensive line group did a really, really nice job of rushing unselfishly. And the plan in place was really well executed. And I thought even, Sebastian and Keandre, those guys all did a really nice job. I was very impressed by how they played. But Jeff and Sweat inside that's a force. That's a duo in there that's going to be really hard for people to deal with.
Yeah, and it is. So gloating over Tandre Sweat's NFL debut. I mean, I thought he looked phenomenal. Easton,
So good.
what did you think about T Sweat?
Yeah, Austin, I've got to take a little bit of a victory lap here because pretty much all of us in the Nashville media that went to the Senior Bowl in person, me and Sam, JT Runke, Stoney Keeley, who I see in the comments, Zach Lyons, Teron Davenport, we all were sitting there together watching Tandre Sweat in person for the first time, and we all fell in love, and we all touted his star throughout the draft season before we knew the Titans were even a potential option for him. This guy's going to be really good. We like this guy a lot. He's worthy of a high round 2 draft pick. The Titans make that pick. A lot of detractors for Tandre Sweat for a number of reasons. The weight, the reported behavioral issues, the DUI right before the draft, which was a really unfortunate series of events. There were a number of things on paper that folks really disliked about Tandre Sweat. And then he gets into the spring, tweaks a hammy, misses a lot of the spring track, the spring training. Yeah. And then we get into August and the expectations are set kind of in the basement, right? It's like, can we just see him be out there and practice? And then he did, and he looked good. And we're getting film from training camp of Tandre Sweat murdering guys on one-on-ones. And then, oh, look at, he's in the preseason. He's playing pretty well in limited snaps. And then we get to week 1 and he looks like the guy that all of us saw in Mobile in January. He looks exactly like that guy. When you get him one-on-one, you're probably going to lose. When you're double teaming him, you might still lose, whether you're trying to run the ball or pass the ball. Good luck running through a 360-pound brick wall, as his teammate Amani Hooker pointed out yesterday. Hey, when you've got that much meat in the interior of the defensive line, when they're trying to run and they run into a brick wall immediately, and the running back's first step is lateral, that helps us in the secondary a lot. That makes our job a lot easier. So, Sweat, the Sweat fans, the people that stuck through the thick and the thin out there in the chat, I see you, I recognize you, and you should be feeling rewarded today for sticking to your guns and sticking to your guy.
Yeah, so Kenny on Facebook says, I hardly know you, Easton, but I call cap. There were so many doubting Sweat because of his weight and his past. What he has done proved everybody wrong, shows that he's a dog. So, like, look, I know when Sam called me when he was driving back from the Senior Bowl, one of the first things we talked about was, man, Tandre Sweat is crazy. Why? Because the video that Sam took on the field in Mobile at the Senior Bowl was doing millions and millions of views.
Oh, you mean where he is a human backhoe running over Dominic Pooney? Yeah.
Yeah, he folded the Arkansas center like a folding table in Buffalo at a tailgate. Like, that's what that looked like. And I felt bad for that center. I was like, well, that guy just got his hopes and dreams crushed.
Good player too, but tough scene.
And that's the thing, good player, but good Lord.
Yeah.
So Kenny is saying that he doesn't know you, but he doesn't really buy that you were on this Tandre.
Go to at Easton Freeze on Twitter, search the term Sweat, and you'll find nothing but compliments from January, February, March, April. I have been through and through a fan of Tandre Sweat. I promise you.
And I do believe you, because I saw it back in that time. And that was before we even knew that you were going to be working with A to Z back at that point. I did want to get to a super chat because somebody brought something up here that I thought fit really well with the Tandre Sweat conversation we're going to have. Kick of the King says, getting after the quarterback with just 4 guys looks like 2008. And if you guys remember that 2008 Titans defense, I don't even know if this was the last time the Titans had a Sports Illustrated cover that wasn't a running back. But I'm guessing Derrick Henry had an SI cover.
Yeah, probably Derrick.
If Sports Illustrated covers existed when Derrick Henry was doing what he did the last 5 to 6 years. But the cover image on SI of Javon Kearse, Kyle Vanden Bosch, Albert Hainsworth, and Tony Brown all like standing over, like, you guys visually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, seeing it.
Those guys were all dudes. But I think the combination of Jeffrey Simmons and Tandre Sweat is better than the combination of Albert Hainsworth and Tony Brown.
Well, listen, at the ripe age of 8 years old, I wasn't grinding all 22 of those guys, but I'll take your word for it.
Albert Hainsworth was a freak and was very good when he wanted to be. And I think he was the one. I think he might have been the first defensive player to get $100 million on a contract, if I remember that correctly. Because I remember when he signed with Washington after that 2008 season, that time both Albert Hainsworth and Peyton Manning were the highest paid defensive and offensive players in the league. And he got $100 million from Washington and then didn't do anything the rest of his career. But Jeffrey Simmons and Albert Hainsworth, I think, are kind of a wash even. I just think Tandre Sweat has a higher ceiling than Tony Brown. Very different players. Tony Brown was slightly undersized on a D-line. He was more of the quick guy to Hainsworth muscle. And I think they just have 2 muscles with Sweat and Simmons with quickness coming from Jeff Simmons too. And so, but I think the point from the super chat there from Kick It to the King, I mean, they should be able to get pressure with 4 guys. I think the difference in the 08 defensive front is Vanden Bosch and Kearse together are better than Harold and Key. I would take Harold. Man, Vanden Bosch was such a beast.
I would lean Vanden Bosch, I think.
Over Harold?
A lean.
I think they're different edge rushers.
If you want to call it a wash, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think I'd take Kearse. That was late Kearse, not prime curse.
Right.
I would take that curse over this Arden Key.
Yes.
And I think I would take this Sweat over that Tony Brown, and Albert Hainsworth and Jeff are a wash, and Harold and Vandenbosch are a wash.
That's fine with me.
And Roy's
The point is, it's a very similar line. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a 4-3 defense.
Right,
It was
right.
a different age. Titans still had a 2,000-yard rusher. I guess the next
Some things
year,
don't change. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a 4-3 defense, so slightly a little bit different on that. But I think Tandre Sweat is a legitimate dude because he doesn't have to be a game wrecker every snap, because of the people that he has around him. And I think we're going to continue to see Ernest Jones and Kenneth Murray be benefactors of Tandre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons more. Yes. I don't know if it truly showed up a ton versus Chicago. It might if you watch the film, but I don't think it flashed like, oh, wow, Kenneth Murray and Ernest Jones and Jack Gibbons made a bunch of plays because the O-line couldn't get to the second level watching the TV film. But like, I think
you want one example for the fans that
for sure
fans will understand that. You probably remember this play, the Harold Landry sack on Caleb Williams, where he comes stunting from the outside at the edge, loops in and comes down the main line of the heart of the defensive front. That stunt only works with Jeffrey Simmons and Tandre Sweat bulldozing the interior offensive line out of the way. And so he had a 4-lane highway to run through right to Caleb Williams full speed. That's the kind of thing that you're going to see from blitzers and Ernest Jones and the other linebackers.
Well, and Jeff took 3. It was because Harold kind of hesitated a little bit. Yeah, Harold hesitated a little bit, which one of the interior Bears linemen was looking around and was looking for work, right? Like offensive linemen looking for work is what they need to be doing. But he looked for work and was too aggressive in that search because he went after Jeff when there were already 2 bodies on him. And Harold's hesitation was perfect because he wrapped around and had a wide open highway, like you're saying. Robert saying Curse was in Philly in 2008. No, he was absolutely on that Titans defense when the Titans started 10-0. Look it up. The Titans started 10-0 with Kerry Collins as the quarterback and Chris Johnson as a rookie and Lindell White banging the drums in Kansas City and just beating people to death on both sides of the ball because they had a really good offensive line led by Kevin Mawai and a very good defensive line led by the 4 we've been talking about.
Also, I have two more things on Sweat that I won't take a lot of time on, but I feel like they're worth mentioning. 2 positives that fans can pull from. And if you want to read more about this, I wrote about Tandre Sweat yesterday on A to Z Sports, so go check that out. But something that was rewarding to see in this game, which we've been waiting to see, was not just how good Sweat looked singularly, but how he looked alongside Jeffrey Simmons and that force multiplication. It's something that I'm sure you have been talking about all summer long, that when the Titans made this draft pick, the theory, the vision was pretty clear. It's like, this guy's very good on his own, but if we compare him with Jeffrey Simmons, the force multiplication there it makes him an invaluable asset. And so, the math of it is very straightforward. If Simmons and Sweat both attack the middle of the line, you are forcing the offense into conflict mathematically. Both players need to be double teamed. You can't double them both unless, of course, you want to leave yourself completely vulnerable on the edge. And that's going to give, we think, a lesser group, this edge group, maybe inflate them a little bit this season, make them look better than we think they are on paper because they're given some lighter assignments because of the attention the interior grabs. But when you leave one of those guys in a one-on-one matchup, it's probably like a 70-30 proposition, as in terms of they're going to get theirs 7 out of 10 times and they'll lose 3 out of 10. Like it is a winning proposition for the Titans when they can get Simmons or Sweat single teamed inside. And especially against a weaker front like Chicago, you're going to see them just ruin things on a week to week basis. The other thing is the snap count. And this is one of the biggest things that detractors of Sweat pointed to when he was drafted. It's like, can you really justify a top 40 pick they spent on?
38.
Yeah, so a top 40 pick on a defensive lineman that may not be a 3-down player. Can he actually be big fella? Can he stay on? He gained weight during the college football season last year. Is this somebody that's conditioned enough to stay on the field and justify that draft pick? And his coaches spent all spring talking about how His weight's coming down. He's sticking to the very specific plan we laid out for him when we drafted him. All was going well. And then in Chicago, he played 38 of 56 defensive snaps. That is higher than the rookie average of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league right now. You look at some of the best linemen, veteran linemen, in terms of what they did as rookies. He is not just on par, but ahead of schedule in terms of how much he is playing. His 38 snaps, only 7 fewer than Simmons, 19 more than Sebastian Joseph Day. It's a very promising sign for a guy that is capable of being a 3-down guy, both in terms of conditioning and his pass rush potential. Again, something that those of us that were touting Sweat said he can do this. And then on Sunday, he did it.
Yeah, he did. He didn't play that many less snaps than Jeff. He played
7 less.
Yeah, that's not many at all. So it's very, look, he's going to continue to get better conditioned, which is what Brian Callahan said in the clip we played. All right, let's talk about Brian Callahan, because I do think something that Brian Callahan said yesterday made me feel really good about him as this head coach handling losing. So we'll get to that here in a second. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should go if you want to handle injuries. And Easton, you and I are going to have a little doc talk that we're setting up this afternoon.
Yes,
because
sir.
We're going to talk to Dr. Looney of the Bone and Joint Institute. It's going to come out this afternoon about the MCL tear injury for Titans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. And we're going to try to learn a little bit about how DeAndre Hopkins is potentially playing throughout this season with some type of torn MCL and what all that means. Because I have no idea.
We're going to learn, though.
Yeah, because Jordan Love sprained his MCL and is out 3-ish weeks plus.
Right.
And DeAndre Hopkins missed 5 weeks with a torn MCL, according to the guy himself, DeAndre Hopkins. And he played and caught a pass for like the 167th consecutive game in his NFL career. So we'll talk to the Bone and Joint Institute here in a little bit. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. If you're injured, if you're hurt, you got a son or daughter or a family member that's injured that needs to get better, book an appointment online, boneandjointtn.org.
We're also brought to you by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. They are ready for football season. Sign up today using code A2Z and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. That's a lot of money if you don't win your first bet. Whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you'll always be able to get in on the action with the BetMGM app right in the palm of your hand. There's nothing better than a Titans win, and there's nothing like the thrill of winning at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and so much more. Download the BetMGM app today. Sign up using code A2Z Sports and experience the football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification, eligible requirements. First online room money wager. Only rewards issued in knowledgeable bonus sets that expire in 7 days. And for problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. All right, so Easton, I've got 2 videos. We initially planned to have 1 video for this segment, but we've got 2. Because I thought Brian Callahan said something really impressive that I liked, and it was about how he handled the Will Levis situational awareness. So we'll get to that, and then we'll talk about the comment that Brian Callahan said that went viral on Twitter yesterday. But here was Callahan being asked about the pick 6 and the message to Levis about situational awareness.
I mean, you guys probably would have been punting anyway, right? Whether he takes a sack or whether he. So is that the kind of thing?
It's exactly it. It's knowing how to protect the ball, and it's a conversation that, frankly, we'd had on the sideline, kind of at the end of the third quarter. It was like, look, they haven't done anything on offense. Our defense is playing lights out. We don't have to be exceptional on offense right now. We're trying to still win the game. We're still trying to go score, but limiting the errors is what's going to win us this game. And to have that happen was disappointing, knowing that it's just we couldn't afford that, and we're probably going to have a chance to win the game if we just punt it. And that's, again, tough lesson to learn in a moment like that loses you a game.
So yesterday on the morning show on Monday, Zach was, talking about Brian Callahan, like, you have to have that conversation with Will Levis. And I said, from what I know about Brian Callahan, from every time he's talked about the quarterback head coach relationship, from time he took the job in January through the end of training camp, he probably had that conversation with Will Levis in the game, like on the sideline. And there you are right there, the transparency of Brian Callahan talking through the process that he is having with his young quarterback before he made the catastrophic error that cost him the game.
Literally had that conversation.
Not to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on just the transparency aspect of this here?
Yeah, a lot of people came away from this press conference immediately just talking about it in the media gaggle room afterwards, and then seeing the reaction on social media as, wow, Brian Callahan really low on his quarterback. Man, Brian Callahan really laying into his guy. I didn't take it that way. I think that this is just the way that he operates, and we're going to talk about it I'd like to talk about it in terms of how he is different from Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
The way that he handles both what he says to us and what I think he says to his players behind the scenes, it's kind of the inverse of what Vrabel was. Vrabel was known for being the guy that on Monday morning, when you asked him about somebody that had a great game, especially if they were a young player like Tandre Sweat, he would really downplay and be like, yeah, strong first outing, a lot of things we got to clean up, but making progress, happy with him, whatever, next question. And then you might ask him about a guy like Will Levis, who you expect a lot more out of, and you set him up to be critical, and he would be like, it's the first game. He knows better. He's going to fix those mistakes. We're not worried about it. So he would raise guys when they were down, and he would humble them when they were up. Brian Callahan's more straightforward. He's just going to say, if we expect more out of you, then we expect more out of you. You got to be better than that. You are better than that. With Tandre Sweat, hey, he's a rookie. Yeah, we don't want him to have a big head or anything, but he looked awesome. I was really impressed. I'm very pleased with what he's doing. It is everything that Brian Callahan has done as the head coach of the Titans screams KISS to me. Keep it simple, stupid. That seems to be his philosophy. Let's just make the easy things. Let's keep the easy things. And this falls squarely into that box of, I'm just going to tell you how it is. I think fans find that very relatable because, again, I think that presser was a little bit of a therapy session for fans that were furious, for the head coach to acknowledge and give voice to all of your frustrations, as opposed to when Vrabel would just kind of shrug it off. I found that grating in the past when I understood it, I guess, from a coaching standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, rather annoying. So I was quite pleased. And again, I don't think that is received poorly at all in the locker room. I don't think a guy like Will Levis or anybody else that he criticized the offensive line. I was talking to Nick Suss at Tennessean about this after the presser, and Nick put it perfectly. He said that was a masterclass in politely not throwing your, what did he say? Politely criticizing your entire team, or like politely putting guys down. And the way that he did it, I think any of those players that listened would have no choice but to say, yeah, he's right. He didn't say anything wrong.
And like he's probably told them that Sunday
to their face,
on the plane, on the bus to the airport, on the bus from the airport to the facility before they went home, and Monday morning. Like, as many
but there's an art to that, right? Because players, if you can tell players that they're bad in a way that you lose them. But Brian Callahan does it in a way that you just have to. You can tell he's being honest. You can tell it's not personal. You just take it and you let it motivate you.
For sure. Let's play the clip about the punt on first down every time that went viral, because
crazy thing to say.
I also like this from Brian Callahan too.
Are people just off in those expectations, or is that like a week to week, opponent to opponent?
It's week to week. It's situational. I think we got we were doing our best in a hostile environment on the road against a pretty good defense, and one that, especially when our defense came out and started playing the way they were, there was a little bit of a complimentary aspect to it where I was doing my best to keep us aggressive enough, but being mindful of the ball. And, we still ended up turning it over. So maybe I won't do that again. I don't know. But it was situational. We were playing so good on defense that it's almost as if we just punted it on 1st and 10 every time, we might've won the game the way that, we gave it away. So there's going to be schemes. Here's what I will say is, the game script was challenging, especially in the second half. Hard to get some of the action shots and the deep shots off. I would have liked to call a couple more screens. We didn't get those off, and the ones I did call weren't very good. And at the end of the day, when you are having a little bit more rhythm, you can get to some more of the movements and movement of the pocket, and we just got stuck a few times So we didn't get a chance to get to maybe all of the things that I was hoping to be able to get to. So it definitely was situational in this game. And I was also trying to make sure that our youth on offense, I try to settle those guys into the game a little bit too. And so, there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I would say that, whatever you saw in the first week isn't necessarily what our finished product will be at any point. But, I think there's a lot of room for us to be a lot better on offense, and hopefully we see that improvement.
So if we just punt on first and 10 every time, we would have won the game. I think it was about in the second half, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's the tongue in cheek, like I have to make fun of ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
But also while I'm giving you this really good answer about what we weren't able to do because of A, B, C, and D, and sometimes E and F.
Mm-hmm.
And then the youth aspect at the very end, like the halftime show where I say like the first 6 snaps were a lie because that was clearly get them settled, get them going. And then that third drive, they put some things together and put points on the board.
Right. Yeah. I know a lot of Chicago Bears fans weren't pleased with that comment because clearly Brian Callahan, not particularly impressed by that comment, he's really just dissing both offenses, right? It's
completely.
The defenses were playing the game. The offenses were also there and making mistakes and were the reason that the game went the way that it did. So, but he's also, if you watch the game with a objective eye, that he's not wrong. Now, Kyle Brandt did quote tweet it and made a fair point. The Bears did score one of the touchdowns on punting. So if the Titans had punted all of the second half, they may have allowed more touchdowns. So, Jack Gibbons had to clean up his act.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I did appreciate, by the way, you heard it in the non-viral part of that answer where he, like you said, got serious about it, wanted to run more screens, wanted to be under center more. I asked him previously before that question about the shotgun rate. And he said that was more of a game script thing than it was a reflection of what the Titans are going to be offensively. That's just more transparency we would have never, ever in a million years gotten in years past. You would have gotten a scoff for even asking a question like that. So I appreciate that. And here's the hope, right? All that transparency is good and well. But it needs, like, he's setting himself up to have to back it up. That's part of the thing with Vrabel is never show your cards. So they can never never blame a specific coach. Just keep things ambiguous. So no one can actually blame any one thing. With Brian Callahan, when he says, hey, I want to run more screens. I want to be under center more. I want to do more play action. That has to show up now in the games, or else we're going to be coming back next Monday and saying, what happened? You didn't do it again.
Yeah. Which makes me, I'm going to continue to bet Tajay Spears over receiving yards until it hits. Damn it.
Yep.
Because 4 catches should have gotten that for me.
Right.
BetMGM. All right. Last super chat here because Anesia says it shows if the defense, I think is what he's saying. It shows if Levis can be a little better than mediocre. This team can make a deep playoff run. At least the team isn't the train wreck people say. I don't know about deep playoff run. I think you can maybe say make the playoffs.
Play a playoff game.
Yeah, make the playoffs to play a game, whether it's home or away. I think they're not a train wreck like the media nationally is maybe thinking about it. Of like, oh my God, the Titans are the only team in NFL history to give up a 17-point lead while not allowing a touchdown on defense and keeping a team under 150 total yards. Like, look at the Titans point and laugh. It's not that bad.
Right.
It was very bad in how it completely unraveled.
Yes.
But it's not a complete train wreck.
It's not the Panthers where you just know that they're like, it's not just completely dysfunctional DOA. This team can't compete. And to somebody else in the comments point, the Titans are technically tied for the 8th seed in the AFC right now. AFC mostly lost in week 1. Only 7 teams won, and the Titans having lost to an NFC opponent. We talked about this in the lead up to this game. These games do, in fact, mean less than AFC games and certainly less than divisional games. So they are tied for that last team looking into the playoffs. And it's funny, like, they're tied for second in the division. Houston's the only team that won. AFC North, by the way, very funny. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the only winning team in that division. So, yeah.
Darren says that game was a train wreck. Now, I
Yes.
kind of do agree with that. Like, it
Yes.
was a train wreck because it did go off the tracks and everybody died. And so yes, to that standpoint,
Right.
but
There are
I
news
don't think,
helicopters circling the scene of the crash. It
yeah,
was a full thing.
I don't think the Titans are a train wreck. I think
No.
that game can be described as one. So, all right, let's go ahead and throw shade to wrap up this Tuesday. If you have shade to get off your chest, I'm sure you guys do.
Mhm.
Bring it on. Throw shade in the chat. We'll read them on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button too. Time to throw shade to wrap up this Tuesday. Out to our friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or check out Payne Bone and what his team has to offer in Lebanon on the lot or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. We throw shade every Tuesday to end the show. Easton, this is your first shade opportunity, isn't it?
It is. It's my first. It's my first. No, we did. I was about to say my first end of show game. We did one game, but this one
We did
it's
trivia
new to me.
and
Yeah.
we failed at trivia.
Hey, nowhere to go
no.
but up on trivia.
Yeah, that's true. So trivia tomorrow. So shade. Do you want to start with your shade, or we can go to the chat?
Let's go to the chat first,
Okay,
and then I can
well,
throw mine in there.
Because this is a great one.
I saw
Bort,
that, yeah,
shade on the Miami police.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Good answer. Crazy.
How dumb can you be?
That
How
dumb,
awful
apparently.
was that? Like the body cam footage of the Tyreek Hill arrest
That's the killer.
was as stupid as a police department can act.
Mhm.
I don't really know what else to say. I mean,
I
they
didn't know what to
could've-
think of the situation until we saw that footage, right? Because I'm still wondering why he got pulled over in the first. Like, how fast was he going around the stadium? Probably inexcusably fast.
faster than Scotty Scheffler.
Low bar, but yes. No matter how fast he was going, it does not excuse, unless he was doing 100 around the stadium, does not excuse what those officers did. It's outrageous.
Yeah, and like Andre says, that's normal police behavior. Unfortunately, in the videos that we see that go viral, yes, that based on viral videos, but I don't think everything is like that because not everything goes viral. But it was so dumb. And like the way they treated Jonnu Smith as well was like, and like the guys like John, like they weren't on the same page. One guy was like power tripping out his rear end on like, show me your license, while the other cop was like, just leave. And Johnny's like, this guy's telling me to leave. Like,
Right.
and Johnny's facial expression of like okay, here's my license. It was just so stupid.
I feel bad for the non-power trip officer, because you could tell he was kind of like, I don't like the situation we're in now, but
He's
I can't
like,
discredit
my body
boy.
cam is on, and you are looking like a total idiot.
He probably is seeing the viral potential flash through his head. He's like, oh no.
For
He's
sure.
gonna come out.
And like the way they threw Tyreek Hill to the ground and roughed him up, and where Tyreek was like, I just had knee surgery, which I don't know if that was news or not before.
Yeah.
I was unaware of Tyreek Hill having a recent knee surgery this offseason. Maybe it was,
know that.
I don't follow the Dolphins, but that came out and he just had knee surgery. Like they could have like significantly injured him in some way by, clearly Tyreek Hill has a massive scar behind his shoulder blade from some other type of surgery it looked like. But can you imagine if Tyreek Hill got injured to where he couldn't have played a couple hours later? And
It's been a massive thing. I mean, he was a big part of the reason they won that game.
Sure. 80 yards in a cloud of dust right there from Tyreek Hill. So that's an absolute good shade. Let's see. Amber says shade to Austin for clowning all year long about Sweat. I don't remember clowning you about Tandre Sweat. So
Bring the receipts, Amber.
I don't remember. Ann says shade to the Sweat haters. You know who I'm talking about. I don't, but maybe they do. I was against the Tandre Sweat pick because of the draft slot of 38th overall. I thought they could have gotten more value because of not having a third round pick. Dre the Barber says shade on the fans who say fire ran Coach Callie after one game. Like, I don't think any of those are being serious.
Some of them are, Austin. Some of them are crazy.
No, they're not. No,
yes, they are.
No, there's no way.
Do not underestimate the stupidity of people. Do not do it.
Yeah, yes, especially on the internet. Not any of you guys though.
Right.
Devin, obviously shade on Levis, but that's low hanging fruit. Absolutely. Shade coming. I'm trying to scroll through some more shade. Amber's still throwing shade at me for what I don't remember doing. Easton, what is your shade for the first time?
Yeah, my shade's pretty random, but I did
Perfect.
deal with this last night. My shade is for the people that stand at the cell phone internet provider booths inside Targets and Costco's and then harass you as you're just trying to shop. I hate I hate everybody involved. I hate the people that are doing the thing. I hate the companies that set up the stands. I hate the stores that allow the companies to set up the stands. I hate that I am being put in a position to be a jerk as I'm trying to just do my shopping and pass you. No, I don't want to talk about my phone plan. No, I don't want to buy a phone from you. No, I don't want you on your little iPad to look up what my plan is and see if we can get a better deal. Please leave me alone. Those people should, if a presidential candidate ran on a platform of abolishing this behavior, I might become a single issue voter.
Yeah, it's similar to my shade of the guy at the car wash attendant trying to hassle me into a monthly membership. I'm
Upsell,
like,
yeah. Not about it.
He's like,
Leave
I will
me
give
alone.
you 2 free car washes if you sign up for it. No, like, I don't want it, man. Like, I just like, so yeah, that sucks. That is annoying. So my shade is actually about something that you, Easton, tweeted on the A to Z account. It's not that you tweeted that, but it's the reaction to the tweet that I'm throwing shade at.
Okay.
Because you tweeted Brian Callahan's comment that if we would have punted the ball on 1st and 10 every time, we probably would have won the game.
What was the reaction?
A quote that Brian Callahan said.
Right.
I saw several people reacting by saying, this is what Big Jeff and others talk about when they're talking about local media being against the Titans, because that's not how press conferences work. Because Easton, you're at that press conference and you're sitting there taking videos, firing off tweets, firing off videos, tweeting quotes, everything's happening in real time. The thing that's going through your head the least is, how am I going to make this tweet go viral? Because you had no idea this morning at 7:20 a.m. when we were talking about it, that the tweet had 1.5 million views. You had no clue.
I didn't.
And because that's not what you're doing. You're tweeting the quote based on the quote that came out.
I'm reporting the things that the coach is saying, like I'm being paid to be there to do.
And so for everybody who thinks that local media is out to get the local football team, you're way too deep into it. Like, it is the person that is wearing a tinfoil hat about every type of thing that comes out. That's not the whole purpose. New Mexico Titans said it's clickbait. No, that's
what I'm asking. Is that the complaint, that it's too clickbaity? Because it's verbatim what the head coach of your football team said. I didn't add any razzle dazzle to it.
I
said in quotes.
Emojis. You added
emojis. 3 emojis. God forbid.
Funny.
The emojis that were my genuine reaction in the moment, because that's a crazy thing to say.
Yes. And so,
guys, relax. Relax.
I don't see, like, the local media prefers the team to win games. Does the local media prefer for the team to be interesting? Absolutely. But we are not live tweeting a press conference like, ooh, let me get them on this, because things are happening so fast during a press conference that game plan from Easton or Sam or me or Buck or anybody else in that press conference, nobody's got the time to come up with some evil plan to make the head coach look bad. Like, no, it's like tweet, send, on the next one. If anything, we are being extra paranoid about not misquoting the coach or the player on the podium.
Yes.
So it's the opposite. So,
to be fair, there are times in the past, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. It's nobody at A to Z, but there have been times in the past that a quote from a press conference was taken out of context, put on the internet, and then it became a national viral thing. And I had to explain to people, there was more to this quote. They cut off the video, or they didn't type out the full quote. That's poor reporting. So I'm anti that. And I'm also anti shameless clickbait, if that is what people are upset about. In this instance, it is neither of those things. There was no further context to the quote. It's what he said, and then I put it on the internet. I didn't change anything, and it wasn't clickbait because, first of all, clickbaiting a tweet is funny. What am I trying to get you to click on? The like button, I guess, to make us 17 cents on the A to Z Twitter account? Cool. That's not the incentive structure here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think people just think way too into things about, like, oh my God, the A to Z is they're out to make fun of Brian Callahan, because Like, no, that's not what we're trying to do.
Brian Callahan was the one making fun of his team. We were not the one making fun of his team. I was telling you that the coach made fun of his team. That's all I did.
Oh man,
that's dumb. Right. I hate that.
No, but that's my shade. It's not that deep, guys. Like, you guys don't have to like micro analyze.
Find a new angle. Find a new angle.
So, all right, that is my shade, and that'll wrap us up for this Tuesday. Make sure you hit the like button out the door on Facebook and on YouTube. Please like the show before you go. We'll be back for a Wednesday show. We've got a doc talk to discuss the MCL tear injury to DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe we'll touch on that some tomorrow morning, depending on what Dr. Looney of the Bony Joint Institute says. That'll be out this afternoon on YouTube and on Facebook, so catch that there. Buck Rising. Actually, you know what? Sam Phelan live tonight on A to Z Sports Primetime as this new weekly routine gets in here. Sam on A to Z Primetime tonight at 7. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning on a Wednesday. Appreciate it as always.